Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. This is Meshi with Path to Wellness with Meshi. If you are new to my channel, here I post regularly once a week about everything that has to do with the holistic lifestyle and how to really make that happen in our fast-driven lifestyle currently. Okay, so in today's video, we're going to be going over my monthly favorite. Means that we have officially finished the month of September, and now we're officially kickstarting fall, and what better way to really celebrate that than to really just go through like really what went awesome in September. So today we're going to be chatting a little bit about a little bit of everything that I'm absolutely loving for this past month. And hopefully, maybe it will inspire you to actually try a couple of them out, or just give you some ideas of, some of the different stuff that maybe will help you along your wellness journey as well. So if you're interested, then let's dive right in. Okay, first things first, I will say that this is going to be slightly different than most of the makeup videos that you may have seen on beauty channels when we're going through a lot of their favorites, because I really wanted to make this more of a mindful practice. So I'm going to be going over with you some of the books that I've been loving and some of the practices that I actually got out of the books, because I'm always interested in, people that have the same growth mindset, that, what they found interesting, and then what was their main takeaway from some of their books. And we're going to be going through some of the crystals that I've been using and why I've been using them. I will touch a little bit on makeup just because I am testing out some natural makeup as well. But mainly, I wanted to really just look at all of these different health tools with essential oils, with some of the healthy foods and books and crystals and all of that kind of thing, and see really like what was my main takeaway from it, and then hopefully you'll find some value in that. Okay, so first things first, to me, this is pretty much the most important thing. I used to think that it was actually makeup, but the most important thing right now that has given me a ton of value is actually books. So the first one that I wanted to talk to you about is the book called Resilience. So this is from Rick Hanson. Rick Hanson is a PhD. He is a psychologist and a senior fellow of the Greater Good Science Center in UC Berkeley, and a New York Times bestselling author. He has written quite a few books on, basically this book is How to Grow an Unshakable Core of Calm, Strength, and Happiness. A lot of his books are based on Buddhist traditions and Buddhist mindfulness practices, and he very much dabbles into the psychology, obviously, and the neuroscience of really how our brain works, and then how you can really apply basic practices to your life so that you are more mindful in each moment of your life. Okay, my main takeaway, and I've got to be honest with you, I have not fully finished reading this book, so I still have maybe about 100 pages or so left. But my main thing that I've gotten really out of this book is there is a chapter on the negative bias, and then it turns out that he actually wrote a separate book just on negative bias. So that was sort of the game changer for me when it comes to this book, because what he was talking about is that our brain is actually wired in a way that we constantly pick up and we wire in the negative experiences. So we remember more likely a negative experience than a positive experience. And so most of us might write that off as we have a negative mindset. But actually the truth of the matter is it's wired in to keep us safe, to keep us protected. Because if you're thinking back in our ancestors, they were hunters and gatherers. So they needed to know sort of where danger was in order for them to be protected and not being eaten by a bear. But now there isn't really, for most of us, there isn't really, a physical bear that are ready to attack us. Most of us that are living in first world countries, most of our fear is actually in our minds. So one of the exercises that he encourages us to try is actually to, just put this down. So it's actually to take a moment and to really just grasp each moment that's a success. So most of us would not write off, like most of us would look at success, or most of us would look at a positive experience like something grandiose has happened, like you've gotten a promotion, or you ran a race, or like whatever the case may be. Those are like big, you know, like Oprah moments. But what he's actually teaching me here is that there's 1,000,001 experiences that you experience in a day that are positive experiences, but we actually take them for granted, so we don't take them in fully. And in order for us to really be mindful and be more training our minds to be happier, then we actually need to take those positive experiences in. So he kind of goes through the full exercise of how to do that. But the negative bias was definitely one of the game changer moments for me, just because it's sort of like when you're successful, then when you're doing things that are really successful, then your mind kind of takes that in as of course you are. But when something negative happens to you, then most of our brains are sort of wired in a way that you really grasp onto that and take that on as truth. Whereas really, like, the reality is that it should be the other way around, where you have 1,000,001 experiences during the day that are actually successful and are happy and positive experiences. It's just we need to train our minds in order for us to be able to fully take that in and then let that go into our long-term memory aspect of our brain. So I've been absolutely loving that book. I think that it's an excellent book for anyone who is really looking to understand their mindset and also open to take on a couple of the different exercises where you're willing to change your mind on some of the old concepts that are really like it might not be serving you anymore. So highly recommend that guy. And then the next book that I wanted to talk about is from Shiva Rose, and this book is called Whole Beauty. I don't know if you can see it. Here we go. So this book, it's slightly different. It's not your typical, like, let's sit down and like we're gonna read it from cover to cover. You might, but I personally did not. It talks about everything that has to do with your health and with natural beauty, and really just sheds light on different rituals and, you know, how to incorporate them, how to shift more towards natural beauty and really understanding what natural beauty is all about. So it talks about a space clearing, it talks about Kundalini yoga, it talks about Ayurveda, it talks about rituals. It just, all in all, a really well-rounded book that just kind of hits the high points of what I would consider a true holistically living lifestyle, and just really highlights sort of some of the areas that you may not really know about. And so if you're dabbling into, you know, understanding what crystals are, what the chakra systems are, what moon cycles are, then this book would probably be up your alley. And then it also talks about things like what dry brushing is, oil pulling. So again, like a lot of the natural practices that most of us you may or may not be familiar with it, but really you're kind of curious about, and you're really wondering sort of how to incorporate that into your busy lifestyle, or why. I think it's more important to understand why you should rather than how to. So, and then of course it has a bunch of recipes like the chaga power mask, mineral mask. Then it also has some things for, you know, body exfoliants, how to make your own elixirs. So absolutely valuable book if you're looking to really incorporate more natural remedies into your life currently and you're really not sure where to begin, then this is a really well-rounded book for that. And last but not least, I don't have the book here because I actually listened to it in an audiobook, but I will show you the deck that I received with it. This is from Rebecca Campbell. This is her Oracle card deck. This is the Work Your Light Oracle cards, and the book is called Light is in You Black. So this is more of a spiritually driven book, and I picked this up because it was along the same lines of the Gabby Bernstein books, but it was just slightly different, and I felt that this was a little bit more well-rounded. They are both with Hay House, by the way, if you're ever wondering. Rebecca Campbell is a spiritual teacher. She lives, I believe, in Australia. And well, like the deck itself is beautiful. It comes with like a little book that kind of explains sort of how to use them. It's a 42 card book, 42 card deck, and it actually helps if you have the deck and if you've read the book. It really just sort of walks you through how to use it. But mainly the book was very interesting for me because it really just spoke to today's women of how to be more spiritually empowered and how to really awaken your inner goddess and how to really be more spiritually awake. Ultimately, because I think that right now we're at an age where a lot of us are becoming more spiritually awakened, and all that means really is just that you're becoming a lot more conscious on every area of your life, and you're becoming a lot more present. And so this book kind of ties in perfectly because she gives you some meditations and some rituals of how that can fully support you. And I found it very interesting, mainly because I found that it just rang true for me on so many different areas of my life. And if you are at the same place approximately where I am, where you're really just looking for more guidance and just more support on really how to navigate through just living more consciously and really just being around like-minded mentors, because I think that books can act as our mentors, whether we really acknowledge it or not. So I found that book has the absolute ability to really bring you to tears because it will ring so true. It can resonate so highly with really not only what's happening in the world right now, but then also like what you can do about it. So I've been loving that book. Absolutely just a complete and utter fan. And she's wonderful. Now let's talk a little bit about makeup. I will only talk about 2 makeup products. I will do like a full review on the natural makeup that I have been trying out. And I will show you the app that I'm using that kind of helps me guide through like what choices to make and what are really not the best choices. You can kind of cut through a lot of the marketing stigma and a lot of the marketing messaging that might steer you not in the best direction. So I have been trying out RMS beauty products. I have more than this, but I just wanted to show you this because this is, well, currently that's what I'm actually wearing on my face, and I'm an absolute fan. So this is their, what do you call it? It's their signature set pop collection. So one thing that I do enjoy about it is that it's very compact. There's no mirror, but whatever, we can live with that. You're basically getting like a little, I would say that this is more like, they sell this as like just a lip balm. Honestly, as I'm going through, and you will probably notice, I'm going through a little bit of an allergic reaction to something, so I am getting it tested. And if you're interested in how that journey unveils of working with a naturopath and really just going through different testing and seeing really like what my body is sensitive to, then I can create a separate series for that. But as you can tell, like I still have a little bit of a rash going on my neck, and I had it all around my eyes and the bridge of my nose. But this guy was actually beautiful. Like a lot of the YouTubers I've heard when they were talking about this as a review, they were saying that it's really kind of a useless lip balm. I would highly disagree, because honestly, just tapping it on my skin and really just letting it absorb, it's beautiful. You also get 2 lip to cheek products. So lip to cheek just means that you can either use it on your lip or you can use it as a blush, and they're both absolutely beautiful. This looks extremely crazy in the pan, but I promise you, like a little bit goes a long way. And then you have a little bronzer and a highlighter. So pretty much you can just kind of throw this into your purse, or you can throw this into your gym bag, and it's wonderful for that. And then the other thing that I've been trying out, this is the foundation from Lawless. It's called Woke Up Like This. Different brand, it's a newer brand, again, all natural organic ingredients, tons of coconut oil and jojoba oil in their foundation, so it's more of an oil based. Again, I'm wearing it today so you can kind of see it. I will say though, again, I will create like a full review for this so that you can kind of see my thoughts, how it wears. I can do like a full demo and everything, but let me just say this, I'll just save you the trouble. It's an excellent foundation. Okay, moving on to crystals. So I've seen reviews on crystals, and I've seen sort of how people talk about crystals, and I kind of wanted to change that a little bit, because I think that crystals are wonderful, but I think it's about time that we kind of explain exactly why we're using them and then how we can give them a job. And then that way you can kind of understand whether or not it would be a fit for you to include crystals in your life or not, because I think that we're naturally gravitated towards certain things, and that's, again, that speaks to resonance level than more than anything. But two of my absolute favorites this month has been this guy. This is a rose quartz, basically a tumbled piece, and also an aura quartz. So an aura quartz is actually man-made. This is actually a clear quartz mixed with gold and one more stone, and then they're kind of crushed together, but like the color is just so beautiful. Rose quartz are generally used to help the heart chakra, and it helps with basically it helps with mainly with like friendships and just feeling more open and feeling more connected, feeling more loving and more compassionate and more empathetic. And I've been using this mainly, a lot of the times I end up, you might have seen it in a couple of my videos as I'm holding it. So a lot of the times, like, it just channels a lot of that energy that I really want to get rid of, so that the only thing that's left really is just the content that I wanted to share. And this guy, I actually have been using this mainly in meditation. It helps with more tuning into you, and really helps with the third eye chakra, and it really helps with intuitive powers and really just being more connected to something greater than you. So plus I'm just absolutely drawn to the color, and sometimes, you know, like that will kind of give you a bit of a takeaway of, you know, how are the crystals really working with you. If you find that you're completely mesmerized by it and you really need to like just examine the shape and examine just the inside and how it looks and look at the tiny details of it, that's how it's really working with your energy. So just a quick side note on that. But I will be changing, you know, which crystals we're talking about and then how I've been using them. This month I wanted to highlight these two because I absolutely can't get enough of them. I wanted to talk about food, but I wanted to talk about food a little bit differently. That's actually another one of the books that I will probably include. Maybe it'll go into my favorites for October. But for food, I'm actually just changing my relationship to food, and really just trying out a little bit more recipes that I can actually create at home. It's more of a plant-based recipes that I've been dabbling into. As most of you know, I haven't been eating meat for the last year or so, and really a lot of it is just more of a learning experience of, you know, like what works with my body and what really doesn't, and what kind of agrees and what really doesn't. So when it comes to food, all I will say is that I am looking at more recipes that are being more about being more intentional, being more present. So a lot of the recipes that I'm creating right now also includes a prayer and a meditation practice. So if you wanted to see that in action, I think that there's going to be a video that I'm going to be creating that's coming up next week, so that you can take a look at that. Okay, and for essential oils, there's pretty much a full wide range that I have been dabbling into for this past month. One of my absolute favorites, and I will show you, absolute favorites that I've been loving this past month is rose. This is brand new to me anyway. Oh, it just smells like a bouquet of flowers. It's a very feminine oil, and mainly I've just been using it as perfume, and it smells wonderful. I will say that I will list on both sides here a few of the oils that has been helping me quite tremendously when it comes to just managing my rash. And you don't know how irritable you can get until you have a rash or until you have an allergic reaction to something, and then all of a sudden things like sleep and really just not scratching your skin just become complete priority. One more thing that I wanted to mention, this kind of goes hand in hand with a lot of the mindfulness practices with the book that I mentioned earlier, but I also wanted to talk briefly about mindset shifts, because like I said, like this monthly favorite, I wanted to kind of just steer a little bit clear away from a ton of products and really just talk about more about concepts that are actually that I have personally applied, and maybe you will find some value in that as well. But the two main things that I have been really connected to is the concept of forgiveness. And I mean, I did make like a full video, just a 5-minute video on that. So I think that I will probably just link that in the cards and also down in the description, so you can take a look at that if you haven't had a chance to watch it. But when it comes to forgiveness, I always looked at forgiveness like I would be doing a favor to someone else, and I'm letting people off the hook. But really, I realized that forgiveness has not a whole lot to do with other people. It has everything to do with just setting myself free, because then I'm letting go of that obligation for me to hold a grudge against someone. And I thought that that was extremely powerful. And one of them, mind you, I will say that it did not happen like I just snapped my fingers and I said, well, okay, I will choose to forgive you. Sometimes, like in one occasion, it took me about half a day to really fully process and let that go. And with another instance, it took more of just it took a form of a meditation, and I actually just used visualization for me to just send nothing but light to that person. And in the third instance, I actually just went through more of a moving mindfulness practice where I literally shook off all of the negative energy, and I was able to let that go that way. So it really just depends on who it is, how you're choosing to forgive. But I find that the two main things that have helped when it comes to forgiveness is a movement and just a practice that allows you to connect to something greater than you. So that for you, it might be prayer. For you, it might be going to church, being more in a safe space with people that you trust, or it might be meditation. So you will probably find you have your own way of doing things, but this has what has worked tremendously well for me. So I just thought that I would share that with you, because, you know, whatever you're not letting go of, it ends up staying in your tissues, and you want to make sure that it's actually positive things that are actually staying with you, rather than just hanging on to and gripping on to the negative that really, it will not matter in about 2 months. And another thing that has helped me tremendous, so like speaking of forgiveness, like one of the big things that I have been applying quite regularly is a form of letting go. So letting go of control and letting go of just things that are not really serving me. We've been going through like a massive purge in our home, and really we've realized, like I personally realized just how much both me and my husband have been holding on to things that are really actually not serving us. So this went hand in hand with just the concept of, you know, creating a space that fully supports us energetically and otherwise. So once I sort of understood that concept, then it was a million times easier for me to just really shed and let go of the things, the concepts, the belief systems that are not actually serving me. So, and I will say that it is a practice. It doesn't happen overnight. I can't say that, you know, hallelujah, I'm cured, because it doesn't really work that way. It happens like one tiny step at a time. But I will say that I am a lot further along than I was 2 months ago. So take that with a grain of salt. And this is it. This is all I wanted to share with you. I mean, obviously there is so much more that I can share. If you have a certain category that you would like to see in the monthly favorites, or that you want to see more of, maybe you want to see more makeup, maybe you want to see more mindset shifts, maybe you want to see more reviews of like different books, because I generally read about 2-3 books each month, if not more. And I might not finish them all, but I usually take a lot of the lessons out of it. And I always find that very interesting to just hear other people's thoughts of like really what's shifting them more towards, you know, just living a better, more conscious life. So if you have any suggestions, comment below and let me know, because I would love to hear from you. And this is all I have for you guys today. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching. And as usual, don't forget to subscribe and all of that good stuff. And I will see you again in my next video next week. Bye.